Hey everyone, on this week's episode of Make It with Calvin, I'm going to be talking about this, the brass and walnut bottle opener that my sister asked me to make many Christmases ago and finally got done. So let's talk about it. So the crux of this whole project was my sister had asked me if I could make her a custom bottle opener, and I was like, sure, I can do that. And previous bottle openers I'd made were just straight brass, and they were fine. I mean, they had a logo engraved on there and cool things like that. But the reality was I wanted to make something a little bit different. I don't usually work in wood, and a special thank you to Ashley from Chip Builds for giving me some scrap walnut that we had planed down to a thinner thickness for another project that will be upcoming in the future. She gave me the scrap of that and said, here, if you want to use this for your bottle opener project, feel free. Which is awesome because walnut is somewhat of a more dense wood, and by itself it looks nice, but finished, you get this absolutely amazing dark color, and this is what it looks like beforehand. Still nice, way nicer. So to produce this was pretty simple. I just machined the brass parts, obviously, on my CNC mill. I used a 1/8 inch Destiny Tool 3-flute Viper end mill, which made mincemeat of the 1/8 inch sheet brass rem from Industrial Metal Supply that I had lying around. And then when it came time to doing the wooden handles, they were a little bit tricky, mostly just due to the curved and rounded profile of them. I will have the CAD drawing up on top, but this was all 3D machined, and this edge actually has a slight radius on it. This not only made it look better, but also handled better. So to do all that, I came along and used a 1/16 inch down cut end mill to force the wood fibers down to help prevent fraying, to just cut the profile out. And then I came along with an 1/8 inch ball mill, and that surfaced the whole part. Now, the thickness of the wood that we had planed was down to a 0.15 inch thickness, thereabouts. And the actual thickness that it needed to be was 0.125, so we have a little bit of room on the top, which was perfectly fine. It's wood, 16 inch ball mill, didn't care, cut right through it, no problems. So if you guys want to see more in depth about the machining, card up there, and I'll have a separate video on that. Now when it came to the assembly of this, you guys may or may not have seen a few of the images on social media where I was using a whole bunch of the little cheap clamps that you get at Harbor Freight, which are honestly very nice for a project like this. And I just used some 2-part 5-minute epoxy to hold the pieces together. One thing I did do on the brass parts was manually on a drill press, I just dimpled the surface with a spot drill to make an opening that I could put a little more adhesive into, and therefore ensure that if there was a little bit of excess, it had somewhere to go other than trying to ooze out the sides. Now, originally when I designed these, I had thought about putting in some kind of locating mechanism, but I just found using an eyeball and a drill bit as a guide between the keyring holes, it worked just fine. So if you guys are interested in purchasing once the assembly process was done, I just came along and lightly sanded the outside to remove any excess epoxy that had built up around the outside of the parts. And I had also applied a product called Walrus Oil that actually had given me a small amount of. This stuff is really nice as it is a food safe cutting board surfacing material, but it also brings out a really nice rich color in the wood and helps seal it as it literally soaks in there over a couple of hours and helps seal things up nicely. So if you guys are interested in purchasing one of the very limited run of these bottle openers, I will have a link to my Etsy store where you can go ahead and purchase one and at the same time support the channel. Now, due to the fact that these are a little bit time intensive to make and I don't have a ton of time to dedicate to making one-off items, I'm going to be limiting the run to a pretty tiny quantity. So sorry guys, but I will be offering one as a giveaway. Details for that will be down in the description. Hope you guys have had a really awesome new year, and I will see you here next time with yet more awesome projects from Make It with Calvin down in Southern California.